In our last video explaining the new legislation for VAT regarding online transactions, we explained the basic rule for the application of VAT. If the consumption takes place inside the shores of Barbados, it is taxable. If the consumption takes place outside of Barbados, then it is not subject to VAT. Now, let's look at why collecting VAT at the time of purchase is really a good thing. Again, we need to provide a little foundation for our answer. Remember we talked about direct and indirect taxation in our last video? Well, the government in general is trying to move away from direct forms of taxation and toward indirect taxation. There are a couple of reasons for this. The first is clearly that indirect taxation is consumption-based. If you choose to spend more, you will be taxed more. But if you choose to spend less, you will pay less in taxes. This makes sense, as generally the people who will spend more will be those who can also afford to pay more in taxes. The second has to do with ensuring that everyone pays their fair share. There is a large informal sector in Barbados, people who are working but not paying taxes, who are enjoying the benefits of our free education, health and other services, but not contributing in any meaningful way. By moving towards a structure with reduced income taxes and better enforcement of indirect taxes, everyone pays their fair share based on how much they consume. And again, it makes sense that if you can afford to spend more, you can afford to contribute more in taxes. We are careful there to say better enforcement. Remember, this isn't an increase in the rate of VAT, just a change in how and where it is collected. And if we as a country can do a better job of collecting the VAT that is due to us, then we may even be able to reduce the rate at which it is being collected. And when we say VAT due to us as a country, what do we really mean? Surely VAT is paid by everyone in the country, right? Yes, but also no. There are a little less than 300,000 people in Barbados, but there are over 1 million tourists who visit our shores every year, and they all consume products and services in Barbados. This, based on our earlier definition, is therefore local consumption and VAT should be payable. This is no different from what we experience when we travel. In Florida and New York, for example, there is a sales tax. Every time we travel and pay for anything there, we are paying their sales tax. Yes, we pay for their roads, education and other services that we may or may not consume. And this brings us to probably the most important reason for this change in the way in which we collect VAT, ensuring that we as a country receive all the VAT that is due to us. This will require a little more detailed explanation, so we'll make this the subject of our next video. In the meantime, remember, if the consumption takes place inside the shores of Barbados, it is taxable. If the consumption takes place outside of Barbados, then it is not subject to VAT. And that the online legislation isn't a change in the rate of VAT, just a change in the timing at which it is paid, which will lead to better enforcement and ensuring that everyone pays their fair share as we work to make Barbados better.